You're listening to Orlando Credit Union's On the Money. I'm your host, Kaylee Greene, and today I'm joined by two important guests to discuss what it means to be a market-savvy homeowner by boosting your home's value. So I want to welcome to the podcast Orlando Credit Union Residential Lending Sales Manager, Joe Torres. Hi, Joe.
Hello. Thank you.
And 2025 Board President of the Orlando Regional REALTOR Association, Lawrence Bellido. Hi.
Good morning.
So glad that you both are joining me. I think this is going to be a really important topic for people who might currently be homeowners and are looking to, enhance their home's value, or maybe they are first-time home buyers, but they just want to be ready for that next step. So I think this will be a really great conversation today. So before we dive into that nitty-gritty, I want to talk about home value as a whole. So what are the factors that determine a home's value in today's market?
Thank you, Kaylee.
Yeah.
What determines a home's value is usually the location. You always hear the location. It's really important for a consumer to see what the travel time is for their employment, or if they have children, school zones and everything. So that plays a huge factor. It's going to be the location, the market value, and condition of the property are always the first couple things that comes to a consumer's mind when they're going to go purchase.
And Joe, are you hearing people share that same sentiment when they're coming into the branches?
Absolutely. It's about location. Also supply and demand. That's what's going to basically, let us know, where we are with that. Also, interest rates play a big part. And then on appraisals, we have to look at comparable sales. So that's what we have to look at, in the market, what is comparatively speaking for sale and what is sold recently.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about local versus national. How does the Orlando real estate market compare to those national trends?
We're a very hot market, no matter what anyone says all over the country. Everybody's moving down to Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, maybe you may not want to take my word for it. Just look at the traffic. That's all I got to say.
I believe you there.
Yeah. Even on a Sunday when it used to be like an easy drive, Sunday drivers, whatever. No, there is just so much traffic because everyone is just flooding the area. They're coming from all over the states for employment or from other countries because first, they love our weather. Second, there's a lot of opportunity that we offer here in this Sunshine State. So you're going to see an amount of growth just continuing since, I've been here almost 40 years, and the amount of people that I've seen and the amount of changes that has just been happening, we're getting about 1,000 visitors or 1,000 relocations per week to the Central Florida market and 1,000 per day to the Sunshine State, to Florida.
Yeah, I believe it. Even just what you said, that traffic,
Yeah.
as I've explained to you guys and as our listeners might know, I am from Sarasota, which again is just as bad because I think it's really all over Florida, but Orlando specifically, once you hit I-4 in this area, and it's really moving across. Like, you think it's just Disney. It's not just Disney. It's everywhere, all the way from up north to down more toward the south. So we're, I think, really seeing that growth pattern.
Absolutely.
So obviously there are so many different upgrades that a homeowner can choose from, but what upgrades provide the best return on investment for homeowners who are looking to sell?
I always tell people, keep it reasonable. Don't break the bank trying to upgrade everything or renovate the whole home. What I would recommend is fresh paint. Start out with that first. Look at the condition of your property. Look at the bedrooms. Are there any, if you have pets, pet stains on the carpet, may want to consider replacing or doing steam cleaning. And if there's something that you have like older countertops, maybe that could be something that can be upgraded as well. Because people always love to look at the kitchen first before they go to the bedrooms.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's where I would start always, generally the paint, the interior, and just overall cleanliness of the property.
So it sounds like simple is almost better. You don't need to go out and build a whole deck in your backyard or do any of these huge improvements necessarily to make sure that you are providing the best return on your investment.
Absolutely. I wouldn't recommend a deck. Let the future homeowner decide on that. But I definitely recommend cleaning up the patio in case you see some algae growing or fungus. Sometimes you'll have that because of the time of day that there's not enough sun exposure. You may want to throw some solution on it and get it cleaned up. That's always recommended. Same thing with the fences. Don't let it turn green on you. If it's a white fence, make sure it's clean.
So it's really all about just keeping everything looking pristine.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, a really good thing to keep in mind if you are a first-time home buyer. You don't have to necessarily already have a home to start thinking about these things. If you know you're going to buy a home, purchase a home one day, knowing that you need to keep up with it and make sure you're maintaining it, and that'll help you out in the long run.
Definitely. It'll always help out in the long run. And you're saving the buyer extra work that they have to, start putting on their checklist when they move in and stuff. They just want to move into something and have their toothbrush and their clothes with them on their back.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think I know the answer based off of what you just shared, but how much of a difference does curb appeal and landscaping make when it comes to home value?
Massive difference. I got to tell you, I've shown property to customers, and when we first walk up and we see that the landscaping is on point, the driveway's edged, the bushes are trimmed, fresh mulch, it goes a long way. Even fresh potted flowers or something, it just looks so nice. Even like the exterior paint as well goes a long way. Because if the person's taking the time to take care of these items, then you're more than likely going to see that the inside is going to be in the same condition as well.
Yeah.
First impressions are everything.
I was going to say, Joe,
Definitely.
Are you seeing when people are coming in? I know you're talking to people who are looking to purchase homes all the time. Are they expressing any concerns about what they find as a priority as far as importance? And like we were just talking about cleanliness, of course, you want to make sure the property's in good shape. Are you hearing people say, I want to make sure that the landscape is nice. I want to make sure that the hedges are trimmed.
Absolutely. And more importantly, after the fact, after they purchase, what if anything goes wrong with the house? So I encourage individuals to maybe look at a home warranty if one wasn't presented to them throughout the process. And that can help them out, hopefully.
Okay. So regarding a home's value, we're of course seeing people very concerned about using eco-friendly items in these days. Of course, you want to make sure that we're, staying eco-friendly. So are there any improvements in that regard that would add value to a home?
There's some that you can add to your home. I would recommend maybe some window upgrades, but be careful because that becomes very pricey as well. So maybe some of the appliances that offer eco-friendly features like water saving and electric usage, those are good. Also, you can probably get the the water heater. Radiator goes in a car. Water heater, you could probably get that wrapped with some kind of radium insulation, just to just add additional insulation to the house so it can save on the heating and the cooling during the summertime and stuff. So especially
in Florida, because it gets hot here.
Absolutely. So yeah, you definitely, that's going to go a long way. So if you have old school windows where they used to roll, the roll windows with a handle, I would upgrade those for sure.
Okay.
Solar panels. Solar panels may or may not add value. It just really depends on the neighborhood and if it's common for the area and based also on the appraisal. But that could add value. And
I feel like those are more common than now more than ever.
They're becoming more common, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great option as well. Are you guys hearing anything in the community from people who are searching for homes, looking for something more eco-friendly, or is that not necessarily something that's been the forefront of people's minds?
One thing that does, I'm so sorry, Joe. I remember some people ask about the thermostats.
Okay.
Those,
they want the Nest.
The Nest, correct. The smart thermostat, because it'll connect with their phone, and it can also adjust. Have sensors that'll adjust with the temperatures as well. So at nighttime, it'll cut off immediately in specific rooms if it's not being used enough or something.
Yeah, which kind of makes me think of, obviously, eco-friendly and smart home can be a little bit different. Is there anything from the concern of, I want more high tech, I want things to be smarter in my house? Are people looking for
I want to reduce my utility bills. That's what they're looking for, cost savings if at all possible.
Absolutely. And maybe Wi-Fi connectivity. So that kind of stuff, that is what they're looking for. Absolutely.
And that makes me think, because I live in an area where I have really bad cell service. Not gonna lie. Has anyone ever asked you guys, when shopping for a home, how's the cell service out here, or does nobody really care? Because our phones are literally attached to our hips.
At times, when I lived in Melbourne, yes. Over here in Orlando, not so much.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because Orlando's pretty good about having their Wi-Fi and all that stuff set up.
Yeah.
I do have people that work remotely that it's a big concern for them. So luckily, the area that I'm covering as well, Lake Nona, they have that covered. They have fiber optic and that kind of upgrades over there when it comes to Wi-Fi services.
Yeah. And it is so interesting because I feel like the, generations have changed so drastically and priorities are changing so drastically. So people who might be working remote or just need to be active on their phone are going to have those concerns that you didn't see, 20, 30 years ago at all, because that wasn't something that people were prioritizing, or it wasn't even an issue back then.
That's true.
Yeah, so correct. Yeah.
They're just more concerned with Spectrum or who the cable service was providing back then, I think, versus now it's all about technology.
Yeah. It kind of makes me wonder, could you off the top of your head think of what trends you've seen as a priority for homeowners change over the years? Like, what were you seeing when you first started versus what are you seeing now as priorities are concerned?
Priorities, walkability score. Like, how close are the shops and restaurants that you could just walk to?
And that's now, or that was when you...
That's now for me.
Okay.
Yeah, from what I've been seeing lately. I'm not sure.
Schools, proximity to work.
Yeah.
All those things right there just make life a lot easier.
Yeah, which kind of goes back to your initial point of location.
Correct.
So we are still seeing that I think that'll be an ongoing trend forever, honestly.
It will be, especially, they want to be in proximity of the fours, I-4, 408.
Yep. All the highways.
Exactly. Yeah, 417.
Yep, exactly. That makes sense.
But unfortunately, due to prices, you may have to actually, veer off the beaten path and, be on the outskirts. So that's what we're looking at now. That's another trend right there. Affordability in Orlando and the Central Florida area, it's not really attainable because of rates and things of that sort. So they're going into the outskirts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you're just having to walk through maybe with those future homeowners. Okay, what do I need to prioritize? Is it affordability or is it location? Where do I need to say this is of the utmost importance to me, and then kind of move forward with them from there?
Exactly. What's important to them, 100%.
Yeah. And, home buying is so personal. So it really is all about what your personal preferences are.
That's true, and it's like you just mentioned. It's the box that they're putting themselves in. What's going to be the most important? Is it going to be the location? Maybe the interest rates that's going on in the market right now, and value, of course, and any potential of upgrading or downsizing. So it just depends on the consumer at the end of the day.
Yeah. And of course, like you said, maybe we don't want to put in that deck, or we want to focus on those more cleanliness and those habits that just keep the home pristine. So to that end, I say, what are the most common renovation mistakes that homeowners should avoid? Is it going too big and then they've spent too much money?
Absolutely, without question. And without checking with a established real estate professional like, this gentleman over here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. What ends up happening, someone will renovate a kitchen, upgrade it by like $80,000 and expect to see that in the price when they're selling their home. It doesn't work that way. It's market value, and you just can't add what you did to the renovation. How much you spent on the renovations to increase the purchase price. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So, yeah.
So if somebody is thinking of putting money into a big renovation, and of course, people do that because they just want that for themselves, and, they live in their home and it makes them happy to have that renovation. But let's say they are doing it because they want to see their home value boost in the future. Is, like Joe just said, is it important to make sure they're going to a real estate professional and asking that, or is there a preference there? Should they just kind of make that decision on their own, or is it just based on the reason for why they're doing it?
Yeah. A little bit of both, but absolutely contact a real estate professional, hopefully one from the Orlando Regional REALTOR Association, or you want to get with them, because if you're putting in a renovation, make sure that the value that the cost that you're putting into your home is going to match the value that you're going to ask for your home later. And the realtor can do that. You cannot get that from some app that just spits out a value. That could be a very costly mistake that consumers should avoid. So definitely get with a real estate professional, hopefully again from Aura, and then they're going to come up with a game plan and show you what your home is worth, and then how to market it to get it sold.
Okay, perfect. So Joe, let's talk financing options. What's available through Orlando Credit Union for homeowners who are looking to make upgrades?
Make upgrades? Absolutely. I'm going to talk about three specifically. We offer home equity lines of credit. Okay, they're usually variable interest rates. All right, it almost acts like a credit card. All right, so you're going to be charged on whatever you utilize of that. Okay, it's going to be a draw period for normally about 10 years, and then after that, you're going to have a repayment period for 5 to 20 years. Okay, so those are home equity lines of credit. We also offer home equity loans, and these are second mortgages, and they are a fixed amount, okay, for a certain amount of time. They'll give you the amount of money, lump sum, and then you can use that for usually like a big project that you may have, okay, as one time. And then we have old traditional cash out refinance. So that'll basically pay off your first mortgage, and it'll give you one mortgage altogether to basically tap into your equity and get you cash out to do whatever you like to with that money.
Is there a option that is more favored?
It's all preference of the individual.
Okay.
Okay. Some may see a benefit in one versus the other one. Someone may want to have a fixed payment, and the other one may want to have the lowest payment possible. So they may want to go with the home equity line of credit.
Okay.
Also, they may want to, pay it down and maybe utilize it in the future as they go on. So they'll have that line of credit open for the next 10 years.
Okay. So it really is, again, a personal preference.
Absolutely.
And do you recommend that if a homeowner is looking to do that, they come to you and your team and speak to you to figure out which one is preference to them?
Without question. That's the first thing that you have to do. Find out what your options are before you start planning.
All right. So let's say somebody is looking to do that and they don't know where to start. What's the first thing they should do? Should they call me? All right.
Definitely.
Perfect. And then if they wanted to just walk inside of a branch, do you guys have mortgage loan officers available to speak with anybody who has any questions?
Anyone at the branch should be able to help them out. If not, they will go ahead and tee them over to us.
Perfect. So, of course, we have options for that, HELOC, home equity loans. Now, what other products and services does Orlando Credit Union offer from the lending side?
Yeah, we offer purchase and refinance financing options. We offer conventional, okay, that's your most common loan. This is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac agency, okay, that basically gives us these loans here. You can put down as little as 3% on a primary residence, okay, and it's a very good loan, okay. FHA, 3.5% down, government loan, okay, operated by Ginnie Mae. And that's usually for homeowners, okay, first-time home buyers and homeowners with less than perfect credit. Okay, that's going to be a really good vehicle for them to go through. We also have VA. VA loans are for veterans, okay, eligible veterans, and then also active military. It's a zero down loan with no PMI. Definitely a great loan. We also offer bank statement loans, and these are for self-employed individuals. These are for individuals that may not be able to show income, W-2 income, or if not tax returns. So we have this where we can basically look at their bank statements and count all the deposits as their income in lieu of that.
And what makes Orlando Credit Union a great place for somebody to go to for lending?
All the different solutions that we offer. Absolutely.
Can I add something?
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of my customers just recently did a cash out equity on his home and bought his parents a condo.
Okay.
Yep. And we're just what a blessing. Instead of trying to get a mortgage and trying to buy it as a second home, he just used cash from his own home and did the equity line that you just discussed.
And I appreciate you touching on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because right now we have like the most equity in history, okay? Homeowners have the most equity in their homes. So why not tap into it to buy homes like that cash? Yeah. Okay, or do other things, renovate your home, pay for your children's education, okay? Buy that extra car for your son or your daughter, So now's the time to utilize that if at all possible.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love a success story. So it's really, really great to see how these things are really impacting people for the better, I think. Thank you all. It's been such a pleasure to sit down, chat, learn a little bit more about what homeowners can do to boost their home's value. Of course, you can learn more about Orlando Credit Union by visiting our website at orlandocreditunion.org. Until next time, we're investing in you. Orlando Credit Union is providing this podcast as a public service. The information provided is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of Orlando Credit Union policy. Reference to any specific product does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by the credit union. Views and opinions expressed by Orlando Credit Union employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the views of the credit union or any of its officers. Orlando Credit Union is not providing any financial, economic, legal, accounting, or tax advice or recommendations in this podcast.